Yeah. Good morning, my people. Morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. A lot cooking this morning. Thank you for being a part of the show. Big game tonight for the Los Angeles Lakers. Packed show. This is my second show of the morning because I just did one for members. Went a little longer with members. Then I had to get a couple things up here pretty quick. So thank you for being a part of the show. Let's get things started here. Looking forward to going through at least an hour of Lakers and NBA basketball this morning. Looking forward to looking at some of your comments. Looking forward to previewing what is the biggest game for the Los Angeles Lakers so far this year. Let me get through a quick rundown of the show. And then once we're done with the rundown, we'll take a look at some of the comments and we'll get things started. All right, Lakers at the 11-1 Oklahoma City Thunder, who, by the way, are still missing a lot of good pieces and are still going through the league like they don't even exist. Anybody see the Warriors and the Thunder game yesterday? I was asking everybody yesterday. I said, guys, do me a favor. Grab a notepad, grab a pen, and take some notes from yesterday's game. Here's what my notes said. Thunder are really good. We got a full preview of this game. I'm looking forward to it. Andrew Schlecht, who covers the Oklahoma City Thunder for The Athletic. If you guys remember him, he was coming on during the finals run yesterday or last year for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So he spent a lot of time, a couple different times coming on the show. He's going to help preview the game and give us an Oklahoma City Thunder perspective. Offers for Reaves. There was a report out there, and Dave McMenamin did such a good job doing this article with Austin Reaves. But there was also some rumors that basically Lakers getting a ton of offers for Austin Reaves over the last year or so. We'll talk a little bit about that. A spotlight on Ayton. We got a spotlight on Ayton. I think most people are going to look at this game tonight for the Lakers, and I think a lot of people are going to, obviously pay attention to what is probably the biggest thing. How do the role players play tonight? So we'll talk a little bit about Ayton. I got some member topics. They were nice enough to chime in this morning. We'd started a show at 7:30, and they gave a lot of different ideas and topics for the show as well. I got a ton of NBA news, and then we're going to get out of here. So thank you very much for being a part of the show. I really appreciate everybody being here. If you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel, that would be fantastic. That would be great. And I'll start looking at some of the comments here as we kind of fade out the music here a little bit. Again, thank you for being here, and looking forward to get the show going today. Okay, so let's get started here. Let's not mess around here. This is as big as it gets. I mean, for November 12th, this is kind of exciting. I got to be honest with everybody. I like these. Last year people used to say, "Slee, are you really doing another barometer game?" Kind of got a barometer game tonight. But this one's going to be fun because OKC is so far and above the best team in the NBA. I was doing this yesterday. Everybody likes to throw in these tiers, and they like to say, here are 3 teams in the top tier, and then here's the next tier, and this. There ain't no tiers. There's one tier up top. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're by themselves. I don't know why all these outlets are trying to put different teams in the top tier. The Lakers ain't in the top tier. The Nuggets are not in the top tier. The Pistons, the Cavs, the Knicks, the Spurs. Go through all these teams that are, in the upper echelon of the Western or the Eastern Conference. There's one team in the top tier. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to just seeing what this matchup looks like for the Lakers. Lakers have had a phenomenal start to the season. They're 8-3. They got a bad loss against Atlanta, sure. They also got a lot of good wins, and they've been able to do it with a lot of players missing. So as I look at this game tonight, there is a part of me that's just wanting to watch the game and saying, what do the Lakers do against elite competition on the road? Is Luka going to get his? Sure, he's probably going to get his. Is Austin going to get his? Actually, I'm not 100% sure. It's the number one defense in the NBA is the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, they're going to they'll pay attention to Austin Reaves. They'll know how to defend Austin Reaves. We'll just see what kind of game Austin Reaves has. But I think for me, the biggest question around this Lakers team is, what do the rest of the guys look like? What's the Aytons of the world, the Marcus Smarts, the Rui Hachimuras, the Jared Vanderbilts? Go down the list of all these other players that the Lakers have. That's why, listen, am I expecting the Lakers to beat the Thunder tonight? I'm going to be completely honest. I'd be surprised if I'm doing the post-game show tonight and I'm talking about Lakers winning by 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever the case is. But I think just as important as winning, is it a game in the fourth quarter? The Golden State Warriors yesterday, when I tuned in for, just a kind of a portion of the second half, it was a runaway game. It was like, yeah, there's no point in watching this. And I think against the Thunder tonight, I have this curiosity of, all right, how do certain players step up in a moment like this? What's this game kind of mean to the team? I think sometimes it might be a little bit tougher to get up for a game against Atlanta or Charlotte. You don't need anybody to get up for a game like this. But the Thunder are also, I think they're kind of sending messages across the league early on that, yeah, there are no other teams that are in our class. Oh, by the way, we also are missing a lot of key players, including Jalen Williams, who's an absolute stud. So it's going to be fun to watch this matchup. And, if you expect the Lakers to win tonight, awesome. Let's see the route that the Lakers get there. It's going to be a tough game. And what I'm looking for more than anything else, fourth quarter, 6 minutes left to go, 4 minutes left to go, 3 minutes left to go. Do we have a game? Or is it kind of like, all right, well, we got to start preparing for the next game against the Pelicans? Very rudely this morning, I haven't even looked at any of the comments. Very rudely have not even looked at any of the comments. I got you guys. Let's take a look at some of the comments here as we get the show rolling here. All right, here's one. Hey, Sue, should I watch the Lakers get smacked tonight or go on a date? November 12th. No, go handle your personal business. I got you. Come in tomorrow or just tune into the postgame show. By the way, what I've been told is many dates, many relationships typically always end up watching the postgame show when I'm doing it in the evening. I don't know what it is. It's almost like I cannot tell you how many couples have said, hey, Slee, things weren't going well until we turned on the post-game show and we had a glass of wine together. Probably not going to help you. So definitely don't do that. Definitely not do that. All right, let's get a couple in here. Lakers have exceeded expectations so far. Couldn't agree more with that. OKC right now, even without J-Dub, is looking ridiculously good. I mean, blew out the Golden State Warriors yesterday, who, by the way, I think are now at 500. So after they beat the Lakers, I think they got off to a good start. They're playing basically 500 basketball. The Western Conference, when I say wide open, what I mean by that is you got a few up top, and then you got everybody else that's kind of hanging around. The Thunder have a great combo of depth and elite talent. So I was taking some notes this morning. And again, Andrew Schlecht's going to join the show in about 5 minutes or so. Basically, the Oklahoma City Thunder have everything that the Lakers are striving for. That really have everything that Luka and the Lakers are striving for. Okay, so just think about this here for a quick second. They're the defending NBA champions. They won an NBA championship last year. And listen, were they beatable last year? I thought they were. I definitely thought they were beatable last year. They had to go 7. Did they go 7 against Denver? 7 against Denver, if I'm right, and then 7 against the Pacers. And frankly, I think if Tyrese Halliburton's healthy, I think the Pacers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. But it's irrelevant. They won an NBA championship. They kind of got that whatever pressure was on their back, the organization, the Thunder. Remember, Sam Presti's just as much known for trading James Harden as he is for putting together the roster that he put together. They got that one off their back. They got the MVP, the best player in the world, arguably, but at least the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Again, they have everything the Lakers are striving for. Defending NBA champs, defending MVP, the perfect set of role players behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and some of these guys I think are going to be superstars. They got a young, successful head coach. They have the best president of basketball operations in the business in Sam Presti. They got a potential dynasty in the making. That's not me being dramatic here. They're going to be around here next 3, 4, 5 years. Why would the Oklahoma City Thunder not be around. So I think like I said, it's probably the best way that I can describe it. There is a little bit of a feeling of like, yeah, they have everything that the Lakers are obviously striving for. I will tell you this, just something to keep in mind for the game tonight. It's 6:30 tip-off. I think ESPN and Spectrum are carrying it. They beat Golden State by 24 yesterday. So I'm just looking at some notes here. Something to expect from a health perspective. By the way, Theo not going tonight as well. So I know yesterday I was telling you guys he might come back at some point during this road trip. But listen to the list of players that they have injured as well. So this is second of a back-to-back to the Thunder. Silver Screen and Roll did a good job here of just kind of highlighting who may be available, who may not be. It says expect Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Thomas Sorber, and Nikola Topic to likely all be out. They also say Chet Holmgren hasn't played in back-to-back games much since last season, so his status for Wednesday is also up in the air. So maybe the Lakers get a little fortunate and just have all these players missing for the Oklahoma City Thunder, something I could ask Andrew when he comes on. But I got to be honest, I'd prefer seeing – I don't need to see all those players, but I'd like to see Chet tonight. I would like to see Chet in the lineup tonight because I do think if Chet's in the lineup tonight, we also get an idea of what that looks like. And I want to see Ayton against some of these more skilled big men that are in the NBA. So I think that'd be fun to see some of those players play. All right, let's take a look more here. Please, SGA, sit out. No, you can't. You can't. We got to see these players in. I want to see these players in because I do think that it's important early in the season to kind of have the best look at you can at some of the elite in the league. And obviously, I don't need to explain to everybody that the elite in the league kind of starts and ends with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I do want to see some of these players play. Their depth is unfair, and they don't even have – you're right. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I will say, and I think I will say that I think there is a little bit of the rich getting richer, but how are they doing it? The Thunder aren't going out there and just signing players left and right. They're drafting guys. They're being strategic with their trades. I mean, they're really the class. I will tell you this. If you want new ownership to have real impact on this team, the front office has to be perfect. And the front office has to take a page out of the Oklahoma City Thunder or some of these small market teams that have found a way to be truly successful by just being better when it comes to scouting and drafting and trading. And, you get that combination with the Laker brand, then you might be up to something. But what the Thunder have from a blueprint perspective, I don't hate on franchises like this at all, by the way. I really go out of my way to compliment them because their route to being good and competitive and competing for an NBA championship is different than other teams and other markets. So I think it's pretty special what they've been able to do. OKC got the 2014 vibes. Interesting. 24. Interesting. That's interesting there. It's interesting comp. Now, well, the problem is you might have the Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder who are going to be headaches for a while. So that could definitely be a part of it as well. All right, let's see what we got here. Unfair. OKC's not. Yeah, that's the last team that's cheating. Trust me, that's a perfect example of the Oklahoma City Thunder that you got to do it differently, and they've been phenomenal in how they did it. Do you prefer superstitious fan or conspiracy fan? I don't know. Sometimes I kind of roll through both of those. The NBA sometimes puts me into conspiracy mode. Okay, so great stuff right there. So I got through some of the comments, obviously talking a little bit about Lakers and the Thunder tonight. Let's get a real expert to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm a poser here. I'm trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but now we got a real star here, Andrew Schlecht, who covers the Oklahoma City Thunder for The Athletic. Andrew, good morning, brother. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm trying to break everything down, and people are like, all right, well, I get the Laker perspective, but let's get more of the Thunder perspective. So I think last time you and I talked, we're right in the heart of the NBA Finals, and you were nice enough to obviously come on, and I don't think we talked after, but Thunder end up, of course, winning an NBA championship. They're off to an 11-1 start. I tuned in a little bit yesterday. I've seen part of 2 games for the Thunder so far. It was game 1 where they played against Houston, and that game goes to double overtime. I think their second game, didn't they go to double overtime again? Something along those lines?
Against Indiana. Double OT.
Against Indiana, so double OT. And then, obviously, as we sit here now, they're sitting at 11-1. I watched part of that game against the Warriors yesterday. Can you give us, an overview of what the Thunder have been this year and just how they've got off to such a tremendous start?
Yeah, I mean, it really just all starts with Shea, as it should. He's the MVP. He's the best player on the team. I think he's taken it to another level this year. Only 4 guys have played all the games so far this season. They've struggled with guys in and out of the lineup. So it's Shea, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, AJ Mitchell, who I'm sure we'll talk about, and then Jay Will off the bench. Those are the only guys that have played all 12 games. You've had Chet in and out of the lineup. He's played 8 games. You've had Caruso, who had a concussion. Lou Dort's been out recently. Isaiah Joe didn't start the season. J-Dub hasn't played a minute yet. So a lot of this has been, okay, how do they manufacture wins? How do they stay engaged even with guys going in and out? And it's been pretty seamless. A lot of this is like the internal improvement that's happened with a lot of these guys. Isaiah Hartenstein is just a much better player than he was last year. I think that's gone a little bit under the radar. Obviously, AJ Mitchell, who was hurt for most of last season, had a really great summer, kind of reshaped his body. He's been the second scorer for the Thunder. And then Chet, who had a perfect night last night against the Warriors. He went 9 for 9, 20 and 11. Unbelievable night for him. He just looks more comfortable as a scorer. He has more lift on his jump shot. So that's all helped. And then as long as they've got like one perimeter defender, 1 or 2 perimeter defenders in case of Wallace or Dort or Caruso, like they've been able to kind of manage here throughout the season. So it's been interesting just because it's not been the same team every night. It's been a lot of different iterations of the Thunder that we've watched over the course of these 12 games.
Does that, I mean, based on you explaining it that way, that makes the 11-1 start even more absurd. I mean, that's just wildly impressive to hear. Shea's there every night, the head of the snake, which is, of course, that's your guy. But to have that many people in and out of the lineup, to not really have anything consistent there, but yet to still be rolling the way they are. And I know it's November, so I don't know how many people are going to remember an 11-1 start, even though that's an amazing start.
Sure.
For the Thunder, it's more about what are you doing further down the road. But how much, how scary is that for the rest of the league to know that, this team isn't really even close to whole, and it's not even close to getting into any type of rhythm because the lineups are so different.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the really interesting thing is something that the Thunder struggled with during the playoffs was having creation outside of SGA and J-Dub. Like those guys, it was through those guys, or you'd get streaky jump shooting from Dort, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso. Even Chet was more of just like a jump shooter or like a guy who's in the dunker spot. He was a little bit more limited just because he was still healing from that hip injury and just had his leg still wasn't really back yet. And so I think they're going to be really dynamic and like going to show a different level offensively than they did last year, especially inserting AJ Mitchell into the lineup. AJ has been really good. He's averaging 17 points per game, 4 and 4. He is super comfortable for a young guard. He's 23, so he's a little bit older coming in as a rookie, but the guy is really comfortable. He gets paint touches at will. I think he's like one of the top guys in just getting paint touches in the NBA so far this season. He can shoot it from 3. And when you have him and J-Dub and Shea on the court at the same time, that's going to be this dynamic that we haven't seen. And especially whenever they put the 2 bigs out there, which is another thing that's developing, I think they're going to be way more dynamic. Last year was like kind of easy. It's like, okay, we need to have a really good zone. If we have a really good connected zone defense, we are going to give the Thunder trouble. And the Thunder kind of wiggled their way out of it against Denver. The Pacers showed it at different times, and it really gave the Thunder fits. Now, with the passing that we've seen from this team, how dynamic they can be with AJ Mitchell, with these guys, I think they just have a different level offensively to go to that they just didn't have last year.
What do you make of the matchup tonight? Because I will tell you, of all the teams in the Western Conference, I think, obviously Thunder doing their thing, Spurs off to a fantastic start. I think no real surprise how good Denver has looked early in the season. I do think the Lakers have been a little bit of a surprise. The 8-3 start, especially with a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. Of course, a lot of that led by Luka Doncic. I don't know if you saw some of his stats, but they were highlighted so much yesterday because of the firing of Nico Harrison. And it's 37, 9-9 to start out the year. Just another day in the office for Luka. But I'm curious from your perspective as somebody that is watching clearly the best team in the NBA every single night. Is this a matchup for the Thunder that is this a little bit different of a matchup? Is it, hey, it's Lakers, it's Luka, it's a primetime game. Do you think they're approaching this game any differently, or no, you can't do that because it's Wednesday, November 12th. And why are you approaching a game differently?
I think they should. I think when I look back at last season, the regular season, I think one of the most pivotal games for the Thunder was when they got their butts kicked by the Lakers late in the season. I think that was like hey, like, wake up. Like this, you guys have hardly lost any games. I think maybe they had lost like 11 games at that point or something. And the Lakers just destroyed them. And I think it was a moment for them. Like, it was a real moment for them. And then you look at the second game against the Lakers, and like Luka gets tossed, and it was a weird game. It was one where you're like, man, I really wish that the officials had let them finish, finish the game to see like where they measured up. And I think even thinking about like playoff seeding, it was always like, oh, I think that the Thunder might not want to play this Lakers team. And some of it could be like Luka picked them apart when he was with Dallas, in that second round series. The Thunder probably should have won that series, but they didn't because Luka was the best player in that series. And so I do think that playing against this team with how ridiculous Luka and Austin Reaves have been to start the year, and really the Thunder haven't really been challenged all that much. Really, Houston was like their best challenge so far, and I thought maybe Golden State would be last night. That was not the case. I wonder. I also just don't know, like, if the Thunder aren't whole, like if they don't have Lou Dort, who has been like the guy to guard Luka, since those guys have been able to match up. I do wonder kind of where they go, even without J-Dub. Like, J-Dub would also get time on Luka. They don't have him either. So I wonder kind of where they'll go there. I think that Caruso will get a lot of time on him. I would guess that Case and Wallace will get some time on him as well. But yeah, this is a big matchup. And if I'm OKC, this is one that I've kind of circled. You look at their early season schedule. Obviously, a lot of it is they're a really good basketball team, but some of the story is too, like, they played a relatively soft schedule. And so, like, looking at this Lakers one, it's one that I've had circled for a while. And so I would guess that they do as well. And like kind of even having memories of what it felt like to play them last year.
It's funny you say that because I think there are a lot of Laker fans that look at that 2-game set as well. And I think they look at it from an encouraging perspective, like,
Sure.
if Luka doesn't get thrown out in that, I want to say when Luka got thrown out in that second game, thrown out as in got a second technical, so he was out. I want to say it was like a 2-point game or something like that. It was a close game, and then after that, Thunder went on a run. I think Lakers ended up losing by double digits. But there are a lot of Laker fans that do look at that moment and say, "Wait a minute here. If that's the best, that's the team that ended up winning an NBA championship." That late in the season to have back-to-back games against that team on the road, that is encouraging. So listen, both teams are not whole. Obviously, LeBron was a part of that mix. The team's not exactly the same. Dorian Finney-Smith isn't here anymore. You got some other players, obviously, that the Lakers are using now, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton. So it's not apples to apples, but I do think that there are Laker fans that kind of look back on that and just kind of say, what would a matchup versus the Thunder have looked like if they face each other in the playoffs unfortunately for the Lakers, they were out in the first round. You mentioned, you mentioned Luka there for a quick second, how he was able to kind of, in the past when he was in Dallas, what he was able to do against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I guess I'm curious, from the time the Lakers played the Thunder last year in April to where we're sitting today, are they much better than that finals run? Or they're like, I'm curious, where are the Thunder today? Like, do they just naturally become better because they've had more time together? There's no pressure on, oh my God, can we win a championship? Can we not? I think last year that was the one thing that always stuck around the Thunder. Well, lack of experience, lack of experience. I got to imagine there's no pressure on them now. Do you feel like by the time we get to a playoff run this season, will they be marginally better than what they were when they won a championship last season?
I think the expectation is, they'll be quite a bit better. And some of that is that, like you said, they get more time together, but also this is a young team. Like, these are guys that are just like entering their prime. Like, Casey Wallace just turned 22. Shea's 27. Hartenstein, who a lot of people think of as a finished product, is only 27 as well. You have J-Dub's 24. Like, these guys are like, they should get better. Dort's 26. This is just a young team. That the thing that I think, if the Thunder could ask for one thing to become a better franchise, like to become a better team, is like let these guys age 2 more years. And that's going to help us be the better version of ourselves here. And a lot of it is the leadership of Shea, who I talked to Mark Dagnall about this last night, and the humility that Shea has as like the leader of the team and a guy who's like continuously trying to improve. Shea doesn't like act like he has like arrived. He doesn't act like he is the man. He doesn't act like anything other than like, hey, I'm a member of this team, and I don't think that I'm the best version of myself yet. And so I want to keep improving. And that just kind of rubs off on everybody. Like, everybody just kind of looks at that and it's like, oh, well, if he hasn't arrived, how in the world have I arrived? And so it's this iron sharpens iron situation going on in OKC, where like all these guys are better. And Chet mentioned it last night too, that part of what they're trying to figure out as they go through this season is like, everybody's made improvements through the summer, and like, how do we fit now that we are a little bit different players? And Chet's a different player, and he said he finally feels it all kind of, him being able to fit a little bit better with everybody. And last night was like one of his first games that he's like, oh yeah, I can really see this. So yeah, I do think the expectation is, as long as they're healthy, that they'll be a better team.
What do you make of the Lakers early on? Just their start and their individual players. I think, the biggest question mark for the Lakers, and I had a lot of people in the chat mention they're very curious to see how Ayton does tonight.
Yeah.
By the way, does just reading into it, do you think Chet plays in the second of a back-to-back, or is that up in the air?
I think it's somewhat up in the air.
Okay.
He mentioned last night that he was excited to play the Lakers.
Okay.
And so I would guess that he suits up tonight. He looked really good last night. Looked good in warm-ups, running up and down the court just fine. He's been struggling with a sore back, but it's a home back-to-back. It's not a road back-to-back. I think that he'll play. That would be my guess.
Well, I mean, Chet, listen, I feel like I pinched the nerve yesterday trying to get a workout. I still did the podcast. I don't want to hear any excuses from Chet Holmgren. Okay. I'm here in the morning ready to go. Now I get to sit on my ass for an hour. But I guess what I was saying is, looking forward to seeing if Ayton goes up against some of the bigs against the Oklahoma City Thunder. What's your kind of thoughts? I'd love to get your thoughts on some of the other teams in the Western Conference.
Sure.
And maybe who can be a challenge to the Thunder, but specifically the Lakers. What have you seen and what have you thought so far of their 8-3 start?
Yeah, they've been impressive. And a lot of it is clearly Luka and Austin Reaves, who've both had a ridiculous start. But I think Ayton's been better than what a lot of people thought he could be. He's been a little bit more aggressive, been a little bit more adaptable than what people may have thought. Rui's obviously off to a hot start too. He's had a really nice start to the season. And then, like, some people kind of made fun of the Jake LaRavia acquisition, but like the
Sure.
guys fit He's played well. And I think the JJ has just done a really good job of kind of bringing all these personalities together. They haven't like just kind of like the Thunder, like they haven't really had their guys, and so it's hard to like get a real feel for it. But I think like along with the Thunder, like I think Mark's done an incredible job. I think JJ's done an incredible job to start the year, just to kind of keep this whole thing together, despite not having LeBron for any games. Everybody's kind of in and out of the lineup outside of like, I think it's like Rui and Laravia and maybe a couple other guys. Like most of these guys have been kind of in and out of the lineup. So I give JJ a ton of credit because that's kind of where coaching comes in. Like, how do you function when guys aren't in the lineup? And he's done a great job.
It's funny. It's a good point. We've tried giving praise because he deserves it. There was such a bad taste, I think, from people's mouth when the season ended last year because they lost in 5 games. But I think what people forget, he had 24 different starting lineups last season. They won 50 games and were 3rd place in the Western Conference with a Anthony Davis, Max Christie, Luka Doncic trade right in the middle. Guys in and out of the lineup, the whole thing. I think where JJ Redick just there's no way to speed the process up in this. It takes time, it takes experience. And obviously him being known for a playoff game where he doesn't make one sub in the second half, and it's never happened before. And I think how he reacted when people questioned it, I think you could tell there was inexperience there, but I don't think you can question. And I think the point that you just made seems like a pretty good coach in the NBA. He's got the guys ready to go every single night. It kind of doesn't matter who's in the lineup. They play tough. They play hard. They're going to have bad games. They played a game on Saturday night against Atlanta where I'm like, what team is this? Yeah. They just completely didn't egg. But there's 82 games. Thunder will have a couple of those. Like everyone's going to have a couple of those. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that I think the JJ Redick piece of it is, obviously important to point out. Looking at the Western Conference as a whole, when you look at maybe the styles of other teams or individuals that can be a headache, I'm curious to just get your thoughts on the West so far and what kind of style you think can give the Thunder a headache when they're healthy and whole. And I'm talking about, obviously all these teams when they have their full lineup, including the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with Denver. How connected that team is, I think, is really what gives the Thunder fits. And I think it's what gives everybody fits is that like Jokic has this team playing just on a string and they're really tough to stop. Like that's the stuff that's really tough to stop. If the Thunder are going up against like a really good, like one-on-one score or isolation guy, I think that they handle that very well. I think that's not a problem. But it's like these guys that are uber creative and it's not like, hey, we're running this play, this set. Like the Thunder are going to be clued in on all of that. When it's like full on creativity, when it's like full on mastermind of basketball, like that's where it's like really tough. That's why the Nuggets have been who they are for so long. Jamal Murray's off to a hot start. Aaron Gordon's been ridiculous to start the season. Mm-hmm. I think I'm looking at it now, 46% from 3 for Aaron Gordon to start the season. Doesn't even matter that Cam Johnson has not been good for them because these other guys have been. So, yeah, it kind of begins with them. I'm really intrigued to see how Houston evolves and if Houston gets another guard at some point this season. Sure. I do think like that is going to be a need for them. But their offensive rebounding has been ridiculous. Their free throw rate's been through the roof. They obviously have a shot maker now in crunch time, Kevin Durant. As long as he stays healthy, like that's a guy that can finish games for you. Offensively, I don't think there's a ton to fear with them. I think the Thunder can handle them. They have the size. I think they have the defenders. But defensively, like that's a team that can put you in the mud. And so I do think like that they're really interesting. And then we're probably now talking Lakers. I think the Spurs have been super impressive to start the year. I don't know if they're actually ready. The T-Wolves have turned it on. I think similar to what it was last year, like there's going to be this mix and the Lakers ended up 3rd, but were they that much better than the team at 6? Like, I don't know. Like, I think the West is just really tough. And so I do think like there's a lot of this is like who stays healthy, by the end of the season, and then what moves are made. because I think there's some teams that are kind of a move away here from becoming like true contenders in the West.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams out there too where we haven't seen. I mean, listen, the Lakers are eventually going to get LeBron back,
Yeah,
and grabbing LeBron at some point to mix into what they already have, I think will be fascinating. And anybody that wants to make an argument that the Lakers are better off without LeBron, I have a difficult time having a conversation with anybody about that. But
yeah,
the
no way.
question is really just going to be his health and how does he look? I mean, he is going to be walking into his 23rd season in the NBA, and what does that look like? But I think there are some, certainly some encouraging signs of what the Lakers could potentially be by the time the season ends. Final one I got for you, Andrew, and I appreciate the time as always. Always generous with your time. How this is more just kind of a big picture thing, and I've read a couple things, and maybe this is just me prepping for this game. The Jalen Williams and how much he's going to get paid, and how do they afford all these players? What I'm just curious, what is kind of the mindset you think from the front office perspective? Can you be 11-1, not have, and you could tell me where Jalen Williams is is it the second best player on the team? And is no question about it, wherever you put him. But big picture, is there going to be some issues here with the Thunder just needing to be able to afford some of these guys that are having such success at such a young age?
Yeah, eventually they're going to run into that. I think really the first guy is going to be Cason Wallace. Is there, and this is the kind of way that Sam talks about it, is like, is there a collaboration, with these contracts? Like they had great collaboration with the other Jalen Williams this past summer as well with J-Dub. Like they got these deals done that are going to help them in the future. Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be another one. There's a team option on the third year of his contract. Can they collaborate to keep him around? Does he want to go, be a starter somewhere else? He is a starter here, but like, does he want to go play somewhere else? That's a question. He's kind of hopped around to a lot of different teams, and maybe he just wants to win. I don't know. I don't know what the appetite is there for him to collaborate. But it's really going to come down to like the first two guys that we're going to see is Cason Wallace and Isaiah Hartenstein. Like those two. Everybody else is kind of locked in. They just signed AJ Mitchell to a 3-year, little under $10 million deal. And so like he's locked in and a guy that's going to be super productive for them. Obviously their big three just signed up to stay with the team for a long time, which is really what truly matters. But yeah, they've got some interesting draft picks coming up too, where they're going to eventually lose some of these guys, and they'll backfill. Like Thomas Sorber is a guy they drafted at 15. He tore his ACL, but he'll be back next year. He's a guy that they believe in. They have this Mavs 2027 pick swap, which I think just became is super interesting.
Sure.
They have the Sixers pick, which doesn't look as good, but they have the Clippers unprotected pick this next summer too. Like they have a lot of different ways that they can improve and like backfill this roster. Where if like they did lose Lou Dort or they lost Cason Wallace, so those guys matter a lot to this team, but they have avenues to backfill with cheaper guys. And so really the thing that mattered the most is like getting those big three locked in. J-Dub's contract, I think, is going to help them a lot. And it's unfortunate that he has had this wrist issue, but he's probably not playing 65 games this year. And because of that, he's not going to get the 30% max. He's going to get the 25% max. It's like he and Chet on the 25% max is a huge deal compared to them both at 30, because you think about the extra 5% from each of them, which probably most teams give them, but the Thunder were able to collaborate with these guys to get these deals done. That 10% of the cap is like $16 million.
Wow.
And so like it's a big deal that they were able to get those guys on the 25% maxes. So that's going to help them maybe retain Cason Wallace or retain Lou Dort or whoever it is. Like you can kind of point back to that moment where they were able to keep those guys on those deals. It's going to help them keep this team together. Or maybe it does help them keep Isaiah Hartenstein. Like somehow that's going to pay off for the team. And it's not like this is like some charity or something. Like those guys want to win. And like, it comes
Sure.
down to like, hey, listen, we want to win basketball games. And in order to do that, like everybody has to sacrifice at least a little bit.
What a well-run organization. I mean, that's just the best way to put it. Everybody's chasing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's interesting to watch how they've operated, and it's interesting to watch the next couple of years how it pans out for them as well. Brother, thank you for coming on. Looking forward to Lakers and the Thunder tonight. Thank you for your perspective and educating us on the Thunder. So thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that is Andrew Schlecht right there. All right, great stuff from him. Really, really happy I got that connection with him, to have him come on, to have such a talented team, a young team that's the class of the NBA right now. I want that perspective. I want that perspective from the Thunder. Maybe I'm a little jealous the way the Oklahoma City Thunder are operating. Jesus. I mean, how many more avenues can they go as far as winning? I mean, he was mentioning, I was looking at, some of their stats, just individual players, but he's talking about AJ Mitchell. I'm like, another guy? They got another dude? How about this? Even with all the guys that they have out, okay? They got a lot of guys that are out. Shea is giving you 33 a night. Chet's giving you 20 a night. AJ Mitchell's giving you 17. Isaiah Joe's giving you 15. Aaron Wiggins is giving you 15. Isaiah Hartenstein is giving you 13. I didn't even mention Dort. I didn't mention Caruso. I didn't mention Jalen Williams. I mean, they got ballers everywhere. It's impressive to watch. Very, very, very impressive to watch. Okay, I got a lot of comments that I got to get into. I got a couple topics on Austin Reaves that I want to hit on. Want to talk about Lakers and the Thunder, of course. I got a couple member topics where they want to compare some stats between Luka and SGA. So we're going to do all of that. Before we do so, let's give a shout out to our partner. Let's give a shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Did I get my Wallace firm in here? There it is. There it is. Hooking up this Nike sweater here. Okay, quick shout out, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Hopefully you never need him. I've talked a lot about us creating a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. I hope you don't need an injury attorney. I hope you or a family member is not, or a friend is not in a serious injury or wrongful death case. But if you are, things happen in life. Nothing that you're prepared for. It just happens. Go to the best in the business. Let us at least kind of point you in the right direction. Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Go to the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. You can fill out a free consultation. Someone will reach out to you and let them guide you. Let them just kind of point you in the right direction. He can help anybody in the state of California. He's been a long-term partner of really a long-term friendship. Known him now for probably working on close to 6 years. Used to work with him when I was on the radio side of things. Now he's a partner here on YouTube as well. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you very much for his partnership on the show. Okay, let's keep moving here. Okay, so I got let's take a look at some of the comments. Let's take a look at some of the comments. And then I'll get into some of the other stuff. Hard to believe the Thunder had Russ, KD, Harden, and Serge on the same team, all in their prime. That team was stacked. And by the way, not only were they stacked, KD left them high and dry. Obviously, they were one of the should have beat the Golden State Warriors in that series where they went up 3-2 and then choked away Game 6 there towards the end. KD leaves them high and dry, and then they rebuild the whole thing again. Remember, you know what turned the Oklahoma City Thunder around? The Los Angeles Clippers is what turned the Oklahoma City Thunder around. And at the time, obviously, it made sense. Go trade, get Paul George. Kawhi's going to sign with you. The Clippers had a squad, but that was the moment that turned around the Oklahoma City Thunder was when the Los Angeles Clippers gave them Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he became an MVP. All right, here's one great interview. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Half of the interview was good. Every time Andrew talked, it was good. Every time I talked, everybody's like, Jesus, Slee, would you shut up already? Reaves can hopefully match that energy. Yeah, what's Reaves tonight? What's Reaves tonight? Yeah, this is going to be a good topic for me to get into Austin Reaves, but here's my concern tonight as the Lakers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder may say, hey, Luka, you want to go for 40? Go for 40. That's fine. Go for 40. We're still going to put a good defender on you. We're still going to try to do everything. But here's what I think they will try to do to the Lakers. We're not letting Austin Reaves go for 30 or 25 and 10, 25 points, 10 assists. We're not going to let Ayton chip in with 18 or 20. We're going to try to hold Rui Hachimura. I could see the Thunder saying, you got one dude that's an absolute superstar in Luka Doncic. Awesome. Go get your 40 tonight. The Reaves question tonight will be interesting because collectively and individually, the Oklahoma City Thunder have the best defense in the NBA. How they kind of approach this game against the Lakers, how strategic they are against the Lakers as far as what they're able to let them do and what they take away from them. I mean, if I'm the Thunder, I'm keying in all over Austin Reaves tonight. That's the guy that I feel. If I can keep Austin Reaves, if I can slow him down or make him inefficient, make him depend on threes, tough threes, and everything else. Listen, if the Lakers are going to walk into OKC tonight, they need Luka to be Luka with his 37, 9, and 9. They need Austin Reaves with a good 25, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. And then they need Ayton and Marcus Smart, and they need everybody tonight. Jake LaRavia's got to have a good game. Connect's got to hit some threes. But if I'm the Thunder, I'm curious to see how they defend Austin Reaves because I really think if Austin Reaves has a bad night tonight, I don't really see a path how the Lakers win this game. He's got to be productive. Very, very productive. That's a good one on Austin Reaves. By the way, just because we're here on Reaves, I got to hit on a couple things for Austin Reaves that will take us into a couple other topics, and then I'll go back to everybody's comments here. And then we still got NBA stories. We got got a couple things I want to do. I did a members only show at 7:30. It just kind of sounds funny when I say members only. MVP members did a show at 7:30. They helped me with some prep today. So I got a couple topics that I took from them. If you want to consider being a member, it's $3 a month. I'm at minimum doing one member show a week, but doing some stuff with members as well where they help me prep. I got something I want to read for everybody. You know, Dave McMenamin did such a good job with this article with Austin Reaves. And I want to read something here, and then I want to also point out another article that talked about Austin Reaves. Here's a quote from Austin Reaves. Okay. Talking to Dave McMenamin. I try not to think about it. He's talking about his future. Honestly, I've said it a million times. I want to be in LA. I love it. Even though the other extension was turned down, that doesn't mean that I'm trying to get a effing gigantic number that doesn't make sense. I want to be here. I want to win. I want to do everything I can to help this organization be better. So I don't try to think about those things. Guys, Austin Reaves can't be any more clear in his message to the Lakers and his message to the franchise. Don't nickel and dime me. Put together a good offer that makes sense for both sides, and I'll be a Laker long term. You know, listening to what Andrew was just saying about the Oklahoma City Thunder, how they're getting this buy-in from the players that, you know what, maybe if I just take a little bit less, I could potentially be a part of a dynasty here with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm already going to make more money that I'll never have it. I'll never be able to spend in my entire life, nor generational wealth that they're going to be able to have for their kids and their kids if it's spent right and everything else. I have a chance to win. I have a chance to be a part of a dynasty, and I have a chance to make an unbelievable amount of money. The only thing that can break that up is maybe I get too greedy. And I say to myself, I could make 15 or 20 million more over the span of 3-4 years, but I'm going to go play for the Washington Wizards or the Charlotte Hornets or some shitty team in the NBA. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe they go sign, obviously, with another team. Your players got to have a little bit of sacrifice if they believe in the culture, if they believe in the franchise, if they believe in the city, and if they believe in what they're trying to build there. Austin Reaves has given every single indication that he wants to be a Laker long-term. Every quote that you see, I mean, This is such a great quote from Austin Reaves. And frankly, I think there's too much of a time where I think the fan base does not appreciate how much Austin Reaves is willing to sacrifice to just have a fair deal on the table. I don't think Austin Reaves is looking for the Supermax. I think what Austin Reaves is looking for, give me market value, even if it's a little less than what a bad organization is offering me, I'll take it for the Lakers. I want to build here. I want to build with Luka. You got to respect that. Come on now. Is there really not a Laker fan out there that wouldn't respect that? Okay, let me read one other thing here. There was another article out here that was interesting here. And let me see the source here. Yeah, the source has told Lakers Daily that the Lakers have rejected over 20 trade offers for Reaves since last season. Well, it tells you one or two things. It tells you that they're probably getting a lot of bad offers, number one. And number two, that they just don't have interest in trading Austin Reaves for now. Here's what the quote said. The Lakers are only going to trade Austin for Giannis or Jokic, and neither of those guys is getting traded this season. Okay. That's a BS quote. There are obviously other players the Lakers would trade Austin Reaves for, but it gives you just an idea of the caliber Lakers are looking for. And listen, the only way something like that has happened, I've said this 50 different times on this show. If Giannis tomorrow said, I want out of Milwaukee and I want to play for one team and one franchise, and it's the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Milwaukee Bucks have no other choice but to just negotiate with the Lakers, that's when an Austin Reaves type of player gets brought to the table, and it's really like, hey, look, we love you, nothing we could do, but we have to put a trade package together that's obviously orchestrated around what you bring to the table. Reaves wants to be a Laker. I do think he will work with the Lakers. I do think that there's, a lot of power in that and a lot of truth in that. And then I also think there's the reality. If a trade was to come where the Lakers have no choice, we got to trade Austin Reaves, then I think they would trade him. But really good stuff these last couple of days in regards to Austin Reaves. And I go back to it because I think it's important to point out what Andrew was just saying about how there's all this buy-in from these Oklahoma City Thunder players, these youngsters that are like, hey, we're building something special here. You know what? Maybe it's not the big flashy market or the flashy brand like the Lakers or the Knicks or the Celtics or the Chicago Bulls. I'm just naming, obviously, the Golden State Warriors. Maybe it's not one of those brands. Who cares? Somebody put in the chat earlier in the show that it reminds them of the 2014-ish San Antonio Spurs. There's a lot of value in that. And if Austin Reaves is willing to, hey, I want to be here and I'm going to take a little bit less to be a part of the Lakers organization, I respect that. We'll see what happens. We'll get to the summer and we'll see what Austin Reaves eventually decides what to do and what the Lakers decide to do. But it sounds like everywhere you look, Austin Reaves is going to do everything in his power to try to remain a Laker. And this is going to come down to the Lakers. Are you going to be fair and reasonable to Austin Reaves to try to make something happen? And then doesn't mean Austin Reaves is going to retire Laker. It just means he'll sign a long-term deal with the Lakers. And then, obviously we'll see what happens after that. Okay, let's look at some of the comments. And then I got a couple member topics that I want to get into. Slee, who's a good comp to AR as far as salary and playing style? Here's the problem with trying to find a comp with AR. Let me give you an example. And I don't think I have one off the top of my head, but let me give you an example. I think Jaden McDaniels is a really good player. Really good player. I really like his game. And he's got so much better offensively over the last year or so. Jaden McDaniels is not AR offensively. AR, I don't have to tell you guys, is nothing close to Jaden McDaniels defensively. So I don't think, if you're looking for a comp, you're basically saying to yourself, and the chat can hop in on this if you guys have some comps out there. The comp that you're looking for is a player that is more offensively dynamic. I still think has not reached his ceiling and is showing that, hey, I can drop 30, but I could also give you 10 dimes. There aren't a lot of players that can do that. I don't know. Is it Jalen Brunson, a good comp? Brunson obviously an all-star. Austin Reaves is not an all-star, but I'm just trying to think in my head, a player that's not going to deliver for you defensively, but offensively, he can give you 30, but he's also starting to become a player that's like, listen, I'm also a good facilitator. I understand the game. I got a high IQ. I could think instinctively on the fly. I don't need to make predetermined decisions. Maybe you guys got a couple of players that would be a good comp in regards to that. Do I think, again, not a good example, but do I think if Austin Reaves was Josh Giddey got traded from the Thunder to the Chicago Bulls and became their starting point guard and has put up some remarkable numbers to start off the season, was really good last year for Chicago as well, and has this like ability to give you 20 and change, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Now he's a lot taller, but Giddey is like, listen, if I'm on a team where I'm kind of the quarterback, I can give you some real stats. And that's what Giddey is doing over there. So trying to think of what a good comp is. Maybe you guys have. Some people here, CJ McCollum. Okay, that's interesting. Harden at his best was filthy. So I don't think Harden is a good comp because Harden is truly at his absolute best was an unstoppable player from an offensive perspective. Norman Powell, a little bit more off ball, I think, for Norman Powell. Reaves comp is like a CJ McCollum. That's not a terrible comp. It's not a terrible comp there. So we'll see what happens here. Slee, who's a good comp? Okay, that's the one that I read. Okay, let's keep going here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show, by the way. If you guys are here, you're hanging out, please subscribe to the channel. Closing in on 34,000 subscribers. I think over the last maybe 30 days, we got another 400 or 500 subscribers, something like that. So thank you to everybody that is subscribing to the channel. That's a part of the post-game show. That's part of the morning show. Really, really enjoy putting content on the channel. This is turning out to exactly what my vision has always been. I just love talking NBA, love talking hoops, obviously love talking Lakers basketball, and I'm very appreciative that you guys are a part of the show and kind of coming back on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for being here. Okay, let's get a couple other things in here. So I got some member topics that I want to get into here real quick. I want to compare SGA and Luka for a quick second. By the way, we'll probably go. I still got a few things that I have to get into. I got a personal story too. I got a little bit of a beef that I got to put out here. I got a bone to pick with people at the gym. Okay. I got a personal little gym story that I want to chime in on. Let me do that and say, what happened to, what are the, what's the right word I'm looking for? What's the code of ethics at a gym? I mean, have people just lost it? With just animals everywhere I turn, there's animals. I mean, do people not have any respect anymore at a gym? I'll get to that in a second, okay? Let me compare SGA and Luka real quick. I mean, for the love of God. I walk in, what are people doing in public these days? What happened to the class of this country? All right, SGA stats real quick. SGA versus Luka. And that's obviously the matchup that we have coming up tonight. That's the matchup that everybody's going to be, looking forward to watching and everything else. It's just going to be a really fun game. So I can't wait for tonight's game. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the reigning MVP. Luka Doncic is supposed to be in the MVP conversation this year for the Lakers. SGA so far this year has played all 12 games. They're 11-1. Here's SGA's numbers. 33 points a game, just a hair under 33 points a game, 6.4 assists, 5.2 rebounds. He's playing without a lot of, key players for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're 11-1. And this man is just starting to take over the NBA. The champ in 2025, the finals MVP. I mean, anywhere you want to put it. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is making it happen. So far this year, if I'm just comparing SGA and Luka, 32.5 or just under 33 points, 6 assists and 5 rebounds. Okay, let's look at Luka. Played in 7 games so far this year. Lakers 8-3 on the season. Missing a key player as well in LeBron James. Luka 37-9-9. Great topic from one of the members this morning about comparing these two players. Luka 37-9-9. You know how many times and how many stories I read yesterday when Nico Harrison got fired? The 37-9-9. My God, those are just unbelievable stats. That's what we got tonight. Those are the two players that we have going at it tonight. This is why I get excited for games like this. And I don't care that, we're sitting here on Wednesday, November 12th. I don't care. I'm looking forward to tonight's game. By the way, Saturday, Lakers are at Milwaukee. I'm looking forward to that game. This is what makes an 82-game grind is you're going to have games like you had on Saturday. You're going to have a game again on Monday against Charlotte where there isn't that, that much excitement. But when the dust settles, you get games like this that you can start looking for. Last week, we had the game against Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. I was rolling in the crypto like this is a playoff game. So fun games to watch. And I got as much interest in watching the Thunder tonight as I do watching the Lakers. Yes, I want to see the Lakers against the Thunder, but I also want to see what's the class of the NBA look like. And obviously the class of the NBA right now is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay. Thank you to the members, by the way, for helping out with that topic. One other thing I want to get into tonight, and then I'm going to start with some NBA news. What do we expect from Ayton tonight? If you got Chet playing tonight and Hartenstein playing tonight, you got two legitimate big men that are going to be there. What does Ayton give the Lakers tonight? Doesn't tonight also feel like a game where there's a test for a lot of these other role players? Doesn't it feel like if you start looking at, you don't think Marcus Smart is looking forward to tonight's game? I don't know how Jake LaRavia is preparing for tonight, but are you not saying to yourself, we need some production from Jake LaRavia tonight? You don't think Laker fans are going to be sitting after the game saying to themselves, Rui had a good game, Rui had a shitty game? But doesn't Ayton feel like the one where it's like, what happens to Ayton tonight? Is Ayton your 21-9 and you feel like had a productive game and was there when they needed him to be? Or are we going to have a conversation about Ayton? And I kind of lean towards the 21-9. Or are we going to have a conversation about Ayton of like, this guy really didn't make it happen in a very big game against Oklahoma City Thunder. So again, somebody else, one of the other members wanted me to mention some stuff about Ayton tonight. And I think that's actually a really good point to bring him up. Okay, let's get a comment here. Ayton better be our rim protector, set the tone and drop someone first defensive play of the game. Let the team know we are in the building. I don't know if that's Ayton. That's the problem. Ayton is not the most physical player, right? A little bit more of a finesse player. So I don't, if you're looking for Ayton to drop somebody tonight and put an elbow to somebody's chin, I don't know if that happens. That's not what I initially think of when I think of DeAndre Ayton. Now, I think this is what you can think of Ayton. Have a productive game. Make them work on the defensive side. Have a little bit of presence. Block a couple of shots. I think there are some things that Ayton can certainly do. Not by himself. He's going to need some help that I do think can be productive. So let's keep going here. Ayton is a top 5 center in the league. No, he's not. He's not. I mean, I'd love to tell you that he is, but he's not. All right, let me play this in my head real quick here. Top centers in the league. Is Giannis center for where do they put Giannis at with Milwaukee? I know Brook Lopez isn't there anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to think here. Okay, Jokic, Wemby. Okay, 2 easy ones right there. Zubats, I would say, is, I don't know how Zubats is doing this year, but definitely has been a good center over the years. Is Bam playing center? If Adebayo's playing center, I'm taking Bam before him as well. Let me think of some more. You guys can put them in as I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. Karl Anthony Towns, that's 5 right there. And again, some of this is just going to depend on the positions. I mean, what are some of these guys playing? I love Ayton to be a top 5 center in the league. I just don't think he is. Ayton needs to put 20 to 30 pounds of muscle. That's a lot. Maybe 10. Okay, let's see some more here. Şengün. Baller. That guy's a phenomenal player to watch. Giannis, they're putting at the 4. Okay. So Giannis still at the 4. We get, by the way, get a chance to see them on Saturday. We get a chance to see the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay. Got some NBA news that I want to get into here. And then you guys, okay, which one do you guys want right now? Do you want NBA news or do you want me to bitch and complain about the gym real quick? Which one do you want? First 1 to 5. NBA, gym. NBA, gym. Just write it in the chat. And we take a tally. NBA or gym? What's happening in the gym? What is wrong with these people? All right, I'll let you guys decide, and then I'll go from there. So far, I got 2 to 1 NBA, 2 to 2, 3 to 2. Okay, keep going here. First 1 to 5. 4 to 2. 4 to 2 gym right now. Get one more in here. All right, 5 to 2. You know, I don't even know why I do this because I think that this was going to go the way that I was going to go. Okay, let me just kind of throw this in here real quick, okay? Let me put this in here, then I'll get some music going, and then we'll do some NBA news, and we'll get ready to get out of here. Fun show today, by the way. Thank you very much for being here. So the last, let's call it 3 months, okay? I don't know if you guys can tell. I slimmed down a little bit, all right? I'm on kind of like this eating the right food and going to the gym and getting my steps in and doing all that stuff. But I'm going to the gym maybe 4 days a week. I'll lift. I'll do some lifting. What happened to people at the gym? There's animals everywhere. Guys, I'm going to give you guys a pet peeve that I have here real quick, okay? I try to kind of respect people wherever I am. So I try to leave things the way I got them. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, all right, maybe I'll leave it a little bit cleaner. Maybe I'll take the weights up, something like that. You guys know you take the weights and you got the plates, the 25s, the 45s, you got 10s, you got 5s, and you got 2.5s. There's this one guy at the gym I'm going to hallucinate every time I see. This guy will take a 45 plate. 45s usually go at the bottom. He puts it where the 2.5s are. Just puts it where the 2.5s are. There's other guys that use the dumbbells that will just leave them by the bench. Like they won't put them back to where they got them. Or there's other people that will take the dumbbells, and if they're 30s, they'll put them where the 15s are. What's going on with people? Can we not just live in a society where people try to take care of each other a little bit, where somebody has a little bit more consideration for the next person? What's going on at these gyms? There's animals everywhere. Somebody could be sweating profusely, gets off one of the benches, has a complete sweat mark on there, and is like, well, it is what it is. I'm going to go to the next machine. People are animals. I'm not even going to get into when you go towards the back there by the bathrooms and the showers and everything else. Nobody's got any respect for each other anymore. Half the time I'm there, I'm trying to put the weights in the right. I'm getting a workout in because nobody wants to put the weights in the right place. For the love of God, what is wrong with you people? Slee, I only touch the 45s and that's too light. No, trust me, I don't lift a lot. Okay. This is the right one. Etiquette. Where is the etiquette of these people? Does no one give a rat's ass about anybody else anymore? I mean, I'm walking around the gym and I'm just now I can't even focus on my workout anymore. Now I'm just looking. Now I want to identify who's the piece of you-know-what that will not put the weights back in the right direction. I go try to grab a couple dumbbells. I go where the 25s are. There's 60s there. Why are you putting the 60-pound dumbbells where the 25s are? These mother effers. These mother effers. Unfreaking believable. I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. People are acting like they're at home. Happened to the respect people have for each other. It's gone, guys. All the respect is gone. You know what I mean? And I'm the kind of guy, I like kind of leaving things the way I saw it. Maybe even a little bit better than what I saw it. Freaking get me started on the gym. Animals out there. All right, I got NBA news. I know. Listen, look, I asked. You guys want me to go a little bit on a tangent here? I think people like when I go on a little bit of tangents. I got to kind of keep that in mind more. When I got something that I feel like you guys will enjoy, or you guys can kind of share the same thing on, or people can say, yeah, that happens to me as well. The gym, just never seen so many animals out there. All right, NBA viewership. NBA announces shocking or national NBA games are averaging the most viewers in 15 years through the first 2 weeks of the season. They're up 92% year over year. So a lot of people, have gone at the NBA for ratings aren't doing good. There's a lot less interest in the NBA. You might be right. I don't really argue that. But this first new deal that now has games on NBC, Peacock, ESPN, Prime Video, and ABC, they saw a big increase year over year. We'll see if it holds. We'll see what happens. I'm rooting for the NBA. I'm an NBA fan. There are some things that the NBA does that's wildly annoying, but kind of is what it is for now. All right, here's one. Thank gambling for that. It's why they got new partners. Yeah, I've said this before. Way too many gambling stuff that's in front of everybody. I do think the NBA and the rest of the leagues, they don't care. They're just, what's the bottom line look like? And that's all they care about. But there is a little bit of that. There is definitely these player prop bets and everything else that comes in play. There's some, don't get me wrong. There's areas of the NBA that annoy me. NBA presents new All-Star game format and selection process. Did you guys read this yesterday? Can I ask everybody a quick question here? You guys can tell me how you feel. Why does everyone make such a big deal about the All-Star game? Why does everyone care? Like, here's what's funny. I feel both sides. The NBA is trying to find the best All-Star format possible and are get demolished every single year with every idea that they have. And then I think fans and media want to demolish the NBA for not having the perfect All-Star game format. What am I missing with the All-Star game? It's literally a time where players are supposed to take a week off. And does everybody care that much about the All-Star game? Like, what am I missing with the All-Star game? I feel like too much of a big deal is made about the NBA All-Star game. Here's the newest format that the NBA is going to try. By the way, again, I read this thing 38 times. I'm still confused. The NBA announced its long-awaited plans to overhaul the All-Star game, laying out how the new United States once again versus the world format will go and how the teams will be formed. Well, I do know why the NBA cares, is because they get a lot of money for putting it with one of the partners, so they want to make sure they got a lot of people. The way the new format's going to be, the solution is that if a player, or the way it is, 24 players are going to be selected, 16 Americans, 8 international players. If there's more Americans or more international players, they're just going to make sure they get to the 16 and 8 total one way or the other. It's going to be a little bit of like a round robin as far as the 3 teams playing each other, from what I understood. There'll be 4 12-minute quarters as part of the game, although those quarters will be played in a far different manner than usual. The first 3 quarters will be made up of round-robin play featuring the 3 teams, allowing each of them to play twice. And then whatever of these 3 teams have the best record or point differential is in the championship game. I don't know. I'm down to try it. It's fine. Confusing? Sure. Why does everybody care so much about an All-Star game? I don't know. They're also not going to do it at 5 o'clock anymore Pacific. They're going to do it at 2 o'clock Pacific. I guess it's going to follow a Team USA hockey game on NBC as part of their, if I'm correct here, the Winter Olympics. So that's all going to be tied together. If you're a big fan of the All-Star game, then get ready for this. All right, a couple other quick NBA things, and we're going to get out of here. Have you guys looked at the NBA standings lately? Two teams I want to point out here real quick. The Sacramento Kings were on last night. Why did the Sacramento Kings Denver game start at 8:15 last night? Have you guys ever seen a game start that late? I don't remember ever seeing a game start that late. I guess Doug Christie was losing it on everybody and really kind of tried an inspirational speech. Didn't work. They lost to Denver. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 3-8 on the season. You know who else is not a very good team that somebody pointed out in the members portion of the video earlier this morning? Do you know the Clippers are 3-7? They've lost 5 in a row. They lost to Miami, OKC, Phoenix twice, and Atlanta at home without Trae Young. What's going on with the Clippers? 3-7? That's wild. That's crazy. I had no idea that the Clippers were this bad. Clippers are really, really bad. This is also kind of one of the problems. I think if you guys, know what I'm referring to here, things can't marinate anymore as well. So a team's not playing well. That's it. You got to get rid of that coach. I mean, I don't know if Doug Christie was the right coach or not. I don't know if he can coach or not, but I know that roster is wildly flawed. There are some teams in the NBA right now that, they just look like they're not going to go anywhere. And the surprising one is the Clippers. The less surprising one is the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are just bad, and that organization is bad. So that's kind of what happens from here. What's up, Slee? Let's go Lakers, 8-3, beat the Thunder in Oklahoma City tonight. It's going to be a fun game. I want to see fake all-stars get embarrassed. The NBA makes a lot of money during the All-Star game via sponsors and brands, and they need eyeballs on that weekend. Yeah, but the only thing that's associated with the NBA weekend is that it's uneventful and the players don't care. So even if you want you're basically getting sponsors to tune in or to buy a product that everybody's like, this is a shit product. Okay, Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. We went an hour and 17 minutes. Can't wait for tonight's game. Very, very much looking forward to it. Steve, who's been a member for 9 months. Good morning, Steve. Listening from San Diego for work today. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being a member for 9 months, by the way. Lakers and the Thunder tonight. Tip off at 6:30. Game ends. Get your ass back on this channel and let's talk some Lakers basketball. Lakers and the OKC Thunder. It's going to be a fun game, an exciting game. If you're somebody that goes to the gym regularly, do me a favor. Put your weights away. Put them in the right place. That's all I got today. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for hanging out. Andrew Schlecht, who covers Oklahoma City Thunder for The Athletic. Thank you for being a part of the show and adding to the show this morning. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I will see everybody tonight after the Lakers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your morning, and I'll see you tonight.